You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning. Welcome to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ, 750 AM, 312-255-8408. You can also get us on youtube.com/Catholic Chicago, youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sakowicz, the rector of Holy Name Cathedral, and co-host Mark Teresi, executive director. How was your weekend, Mark?
It was very good. Actually, we went to dinner at a friend's house whose son was adopted from Mexico. We were the baptism prep couple when he came from Mexico, and now he's a young man, 20, almost 30 years old.
What an amazing story.
Yeah, and it was just, he gave us hugs, and it felt like, you know, from when he was baptized, when he was about 5, 6 years old to now.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it was just great. It was great to be with him.
And talk about the stories and the memories and the journeys.
And also encourage people who are listening, you know, if you're interested in ministry in your parish, it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding. Take that step.
Take that step. And I always tell you, the more you get involved in your parish, your faith community, the more you feel at home, because it's the body of Christ. It's all about community. So that's why I always encourage people, if you are able, please go back to Mass in your community. As much as during the COVID time, it was important to stay home and, you know, watch on TV Channel 7 with the Cardinal, Channel 9 Mercy Home, or live stream from your parish. There are many people still immune compromised and should not go to church, and I get it. But many others who could go but have said to me, you know, Greg, you know, we should be going back, but it's so convenient to flip the TV on, have a cup of coffee, and a half hour hit it off. And so, but it's all about, especially now with Holy Week beginning next Sunday, we're moving toward the end of Lent, the Holy Week, the Triduum. What a great opportunity to say, you know what, we need to get going back now, because again, otherwise, two key things are missing: Eucharist and community. Right. And that's the body of Christ.
And we've kind of noticed at Holy Name, people are coming back. The
numbers are larger.
Yes.
Both parishioners and visitors from all over the world. So great program lined up here on a Monday at 8:03 a.m. In sports, baseball starts this week. Yeah. Cubs open up Thursday at home, I think, against the Brewers, and the White Sox open up Thursday in Houston against the world champs. And so right now, both teams are still undefeated.
Yeah,
so,
big deal.
So we have two undefeated teams in Chicago, and the Bulls are playing good basketball right now. The Blackhawks keep losing, which is good to get that number one pick. So here we go. The Shrine of All Saints at All Saints Parish in Morton Grove contains the relics of over 3,000 different saints, making the second largest collection of relics in the United States after St. Anthony's Shrine in Pittsburgh. The relics were brought to the shrine by Father Dennis O'Neill. Many of them he had been collecting since he was a teenager. Many of the relics came from closed churches, monasteries, convents, and chapels throughout Europe. Visiting the shrine offers visitors a unique experience of total immersion in the mystery of the communion of saints. And with us via live stream, Father Dennis O'Neill, a tremendous priest, the Archdiocese of Chicago. Father Denny, welcome to the program this morning. How are you, Dennis?
How are you?
Doing great.
Good.
You know, and Dennis.
Nice to see you.
Dennis,
both.
Now, Dennis, I was ordained in 79. You were ordained in 70 what?
3.
In 73. So when I arrived at Mundelein Seminary in the theologiate in 75, you were at that point a young priest ordained 2 years. And Dennis is a tremendous priest, well loved by the people.
I was at St. Benedict on Irving Park
Oh,
for
sure.
7 years, and then I became pastor of St. Martha in 2001. I started there 2 weeks before 9/11.
Wow.
And actually, I have a connect with St. Martha's. My wife taught at St. Martha's for 7 years, and we lived in the house straight across that parking lot. We lived there so we had a great experience at St. Martha's.
And now St. Martha's today is called what? It's called All Saints?
It's united with St. Isaac Jogue, and the united parish is called All Saints.
Okay, and then you retired as pastor.
I retired last July 1st.
Oh, so you were pastor 21 years.
I was pastor 20 years, and I was administrator of the united parish for a year.
Okay.
And then I retired. And right now I'm at St. Mary of the Woods to give my successor a chance to make a start without me there.
Oh.
And boy, I know St. Mary of the Woods extremely well.
I know you
spent
do.
18 fantastic years, 4.5 as associate
It's a great
pastor,
parish.
and 13.5 as pastor. It's a marvelous parish. It's a hidden gem in the Archdiocese of Chicago. It's, people say, well, where is Edgebrook? Where is Wildwood? And the parish is like in a hidden little cove in the middle of the community. And it, I always call it the best kept secret in the Archdiocese. But
It is.
Great community people. And Father Richie Kubek is doing a fantastic job as the pastor of the community. Now, we have a great program lined up today, Dennis. And, I almost say what you have done in the parish in terms of relics is legendary. I didn't realize it's the second largest collection of relics in the U.S. And just in your own background, when you mentioned you first started collecting relics when you were a teenager. So this would have been when you started at Quigley?
Oh, earlier. I love history. And a priest gave me a relic of St. Dominic Savio. I liked this sense of tangible connection with the saint that I experienced just in holding a relic. And ever since then, I've been trying to make that sensation available to other people by accumulating relics. And so for a number of years, it was not difficult to obtain them directly from Rome. So during my teenage years and my first years in my years in the seminary, my first years as a priest, it was possible to write to a convent in Rome and ask if the relics of Saint so-and-so were available. And if they were, then the nuns would ask whoever took charge of all the bones in Rome, and they'd be certified and properly put in a teca, and then I could get them just for paying for the price of the teca. But that all stopped around the year 2001. Now it's just practically impossible to get any relics from Rome anymore.
My God, you're a kid collecting relics. I was collecting baseball cards.
It was like baseball cards. My hoarding instinct was channeled in that direction mainly.
Yeah.
So, I kept collecting them and then carrying them from place to place. And I figured sooner or later they would end up somewhere. And then when I got to St. Martha's, I thought I'm at the end of my road. And our large church at the time was a multi-purpose building. And the school had just closed. So, after 40 years of basketball, it looked more like a beat up old gym. So, anything you add to cinder block is an improvement. I just started moving the relics into the church. And then once I put in everything that I had, a priest friend of mine made me aware of this huge relic market on the internet, which I knew nothing about. It's a sin to sell relics and it's a sin to buy relics, but these are most of them authentic relics from Europe, from closed church institutions, and it can be a virtue to rescue them. St. Louis of France rescued the crown of thorns from bankers in Venice because he was grossed out that they were just being kept for security, and built the Sainte-Chapelle in Paris as the world's largest reliquary for the relics of the Passion. So in his case, it was a virtue because they brought them back to the public instead of having them kept in a bank vault as security to support the crumbling Latin Empire of Constantinople. He just thought, this is wrong. So anyway, these relics obviously have become available because people stopped caring about them over there. And that's part of the reason these institutions have closed.
Interesting.
And so what I'm trying to do is bring them back into the church. And so most of the relics in the shrine are all from closed institutions in Europe.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, when you were growing up, what was your parents' reaction to you collecting relics? Were they supportive? Did they get it in terms of your understanding?
My first reaction was, I don't even know if they noticed.
Oh,
I wasn't hiding them. I don't know. I don't recall a word said about that.
really? Wow.
They just thought I was an odd kid.
Now, if you were, I don't know if you can qualify or quantify them, but if you were to look at maybe your 5 most important relics that you have, can you value them that way? Is there one or two that really stick out in your mind as these are very important to the church?
Or very rare.
Yeah.
We have all of that, but there are so many that are rare, it's hard to say. But what I will tell you is what I tell everybody. There's one saint that calls so much attention to herself that I guess I have to single her out. You showed at the beginning that photo of the lock of the hair of the St. Teresa of Lisieux, the little flower. Well, that was saved by her sister Celine, who was another nun in the convent with her. Probably it was cut off when she became a nun, and it was passed on to Sister. There it is. It was passed on to Sister Carmela, Sister Marie de Jesus, and then Sister Carmela of St. John of the Cross, who died in 2014 at the age of 95.
Oh,
so
wow.
we can trace its provenance right back to the death of the little flower in 1997. I got it from the last nun's nephew who lives in Malta. When the package arrived, the bubble wrap blasted me with the scent of roses.
Wow.
And it continues. Anyone who visits the shrine, all I have to do is lift off the glass dome and hold the dome out so people can smell it. And I don't even have to check. It will continuously give off the scent of roses. And so that's pretty rare. We don't have anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if you start with her, then there's a bone of St. Peter's left tibia. There's a humerus of St. Thomas the Apostle. We have 2 bones of St. Stephen the proto-martyr that came from Mount Athos. One of those, they're in a big chest, and one of those has an unhealed fracture. So the unhealed fracture is just right for someone stoned to death.
Wow.
So the bone itself is witnessed to the martyrdom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's just all kinds of things there that are amazing.
That's amazing. Hold on for a second, Dennis.
We're going to take a little break.
This is
WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We'll be back in a few minutes. Continue to talk about the relics in the shrine of All Saints, Father Dennis O'Neill. It's fascinating. And I love the idea that you're filling in the blanks in terms of our history.
Yes.
And how it connects us even today. We'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
It's really good.
Catholic Charities Blossoms of Hope brunch will be held on Sunday, April 30th at Drury Lane in Oakbrook, in support of the Loving Outreach to Survivors of Suicide program, also known as LOSS. This inspiring brunch is an opportunity for all members of the Lost community to gather with its founder, Father Charles Ruby, in support of the program and to celebrate the resilience that can be attained over time. For more than 40 years, Lost has been compassionately accompanying individuals and families on their journey through grief. The program has been recognized by the United Nations as a model for helping those grieving this tragic event in their lives. In-person and online resources help people around the country find healing and joy in life again. To learn more about Loss and the Blossoms of Hope brunch, visit CatholicCharities.net.
People always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning. Because really, you are changing lives, you are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
Caring adults make all the difference in the lives of adolescents. Catholic Charities understands this, and our mentorship programs provide a free opportunity for young adults to spend time with volunteers who genuinely care about them. This program is ideal for youth aged 9 through 12 who may need support navigating the challenges of childhood and early adolescence. Our amazing volunteers serve as friends who help youth recognize their strengths and empower them to reach their full potential. Catholic Charities conducts a thorough background check on every volunteer, and our program coordinator closely monitors and supports every relationship. Mentoring is a fun after-school program that can help young adults build confidence and enjoy fun activities with their peers, too. To learn more, visit CatholicCharities.net or call 312-655-7970 in Cook County and 847-782-4224 in Lake County. We're connecting youth with great role models. Join us today.
This shrine contains the relics of over 3,000 different saints. Some of them I've collected since I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, a priest gave me a relic of St. Dominic Savio. And I liked the feeling of connection that it gave me with the saint. And so I wanted to make that feeling available for others. Relics are primarily portions of the bodies of saints. They may also be things they used or they owned, clothing they wore, or things that were touched to their remains. You know, it's a sin to sell relics and it's a sin to buy relics, but it can be a virtue to rescue them for the church. But most of the other relics you'll see around this church came during the last 20 years, and they're all from closed churches and monasteries and convents, chapels throughout Europe. These are the 14 Holy Helpers. They're healing saints. They're over there too. That's the oldest depiction of the death of the Virgin in the world. Christians and people of most religions go on pilgrimage. They visit sacred spots associated with their faith. And the Christians always visited the graves of the martyrs because they believed, and it's true, when a person dies and their spirit returns to the Lord, not all of the energy of that person entirely detaches from the body. And that's why saints have halos, it's their aura. And so when Christians visited the remains of the saints, they felt they were visiting the saints. Now, they fall into the same category as any other sacramentals. Icons, statues, pictures, whatever helps to open up the channels between us and the other world through meditation. And relics are at that level. So they're not worshipped, they're a means. This is a painting of Blessed Margaret Plantagenet Poe, and this is her jaw with 11 teeth. She was one of the martyrs under King Henry VIII, and actually we've had one miracle due to her because she's a blessed. Someone was brought out of an irreversible coma through her prayers. God says it's not right for man to live alone. He gave us each other to help us along the way. And the help doesn't stop with death. These are mainly relics of apostles. This is the left fibula of St. Peter. Mother Teresa gave herself a haircut in New York in 1976. And the nun saved her hair because she knew she was a saint. We're all temples of the Holy Spirit. We're all temples of the presence of God, especially if we're baptized. And these are the remains of these temples of the Holy Spirit that did remarkable good in their lifetimes. And so when people visit them, they feel like they're visiting them. So it's no more macabre than if you go to the cemetery to visit your own dead relatives, which people do. And it's no more macabre than putting photos of your dead relatives in your home. This is the family of the church. Only we've got 2,000 years of family.
Very well done. We're at WNDC.
Beautiful.
7:50 a.m. Catholic Chicago with Father Dennis O'Neill. I'm going to hold up the Shrine of All Saints. Now, Father Dennis, how do people find the shrine? And
Are there hours?
yeah, are there hours, and what's the availability in terms of, now that you're retired, are you the docent? Do you greet everybody when they come, or how does that work?
I have right now 5 docents. So I'm staying at St. Mary of the Woods. God willing, I will be coming back to All Saints after Easter sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, there's 5 others who are willing to do a tour any day. Awareness of the shrine is spread by word of mouth or by this show. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways the word gets out. It took quite a blow, as did all the churches during COVID, because up until COVID, when I was still there, I had a group of folks that for $5 a head, if we had a group of 10 or more, they'd be willing to cook a hot lunch.
Oh.
So pilgrims could come, they could have lunch, they could have the whole works, but that fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
So when I moved away, I ran a group of people through what I normally tell folks when they come, and they've picked up on that. So if you want to see the shrine, you call St. Martha or you call All Saints, or send an email to the church. I'd like to come with so many people on such and such a day. And then there's a woman named Kathy Allen who at present is in Florida, but she coordinates all this from Florida. She contacts the docents, finds out who can meet you at such and such a time. We can't just leave the doors open because there's too much that one could walk out with. Mm-hmm. Though honestly, no one has ever stolen anything. It's amazing. Because it would be so easy to do.
Now, Dennis, a quick question. During the whole week, there's never like on every Saturday open from 9 until noon for the public to walk through. It's really by appointment only.
It's by appointment, or on Saturday afternoon, the Mass is at 4. The doors normally open at 2. So I would just tell people, come early, you can wander around and see what's there. When I'm there, I'm glad to give them an overview of what's there. And tell them the history of how the church ended up in the relic business at all, and the history of the relics that are there, who saved them. Because you mentioned earlier, it's an experience of the history of the church. And well, I'm going to talk about what you're showing right now pretty soon. That's going to be coming into the shrine a week from Sunday.
What is that?
Well, let me give you an example. That is the right ulna and the hand bone, a carpal bone of St. Mark the Evangelist. And I was just going to show it to you, but you already have a picture of it. It's going into the church. It'll be first displayed on Divine Mercy Sunday. What I want to know not only is what the relic is, but its history. How did it get there? That's true for all these relics. See, they've all been stolen again and again. They may just be body parts, but they're body parts that have been precious to people through the years. And so as much as I can get the provenance of each of these relics, then when they come into the church, I will write an article about it saying, where has it been until it got here? So people can learn a bit more about church history every time, the persecutions we've gone through, the assaults on these relics that they have gone through. It's fascinating, and the history is so rich. And I presume that the Shrine of All Saints is not the end of the journey for these relics. Whenever we stop caring, they're going to move on again. But in the meanwhile, we cherish them. Now, to tell you about St. Mark's Arm, this is from the private collection of the late Patriarch of Venice, Cardinal Marco Che. His predecessor was Albino Luciani, who was Pope John Paul I for 30 days. And then when he died, Marco Che succeeded him. He had a special interest in the relics that are in St. Marco. Now, I'm sure you know that the bones of St. Mark have been there since 827. They were stolen from Alexandria. So this is one of the most famous relic thefts in history. It's one of the earliest, and it's absolutely, it's a story that everyone knows happens. So there's no question that these are the bones of St. Mark that were taken from Alexandria. And the reason they were trying to build up Venice as an important city in northern Italy in competition with Aquileia and Grado. And so the Doge, Partipazio at the time, backed two merchants who went to Alexandria, and they thought there were legends that St. Peter had sent St. Mark up to the Venice area to bring the good news before they both died and before Mark became the first bishop of Alexandria. And so now they thought, wouldn't it be grand if we could steal St. Mark's body, and then it'd be a great thing for pilgrimage and for tourism. And that's exactly what they did. They went to the church in Alexandria where St. Mark's bones were being honored, and they probably bribed the priest and the monk who were the guardians of the shrine. The story also says that the Caliph had issued an edict saying that people could dismantle the church to use the marble for a mosque, and put it in this reliquary that you've shown, which was part of his private collection. Now, he died 9 years ago, and he's also the cardinal who gave permission for the catalog that when people wanted to visit the exhibit of the treasury of San Marco, either in the Louvre or in the museum in New York, this is the catalog. He allowed the treasury of San Marco to go on the road so people could see all of the goodies that they looted from Constantinople in 1204. They completely sacked that Christian city, the Crusaders, and the treasury of San Marco is full of the stuff they stole, which is still there. So this is the same cardinal that allowed the world to see it beyond coming to San Marco.
You know, Dennis, you are.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to a break. You are just amazing. This history is just flowing off your lips. It's incredible. We're gonna go to a break, which Mark will take us.
Sure.
First of all, I want to thank Clint Cottrell for that beautiful video that they did of your beautiful reliquary. The whole thing, the whole room is a tremendous 3.5 minute video. So Clint, great job to your team. You did it, what, about 2, 3, 4 years ago? How long ago?
2 or 3 weeks ago.
Oh, that video, really? Oh, the video was just completed. Well,
Yeah.
I thought it goes back a couple of years. So great job. So Mark, take us to break.
WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We'll be back in a few minutes. Continue our fascinating conversation with Father Dennis O'Neill, the Shrine of All Saints, talking about relics and how they really are pertinent to our spiritual life today. We'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Catholic Charities' Family Self-Sufficiency Program has assisted thousands of single parents who are working to become more self-sufficient through education and employment opportunities. Our experienced case managers accompany participants for up to 5 years on their journey to identify, address, and break down barriers to improving their quality of life and achieving meaningful goals for themselves and for their families. Professional, compassionate assistance is offered in a safe and trusting environment as participants develop the skills needed to become financially stable and able to support themselves. Every achievement starts with a decision to try. To learn more about Catholic Charities' Family Self-Sufficiency Program, call 847-782-4233 or visit CatholicCharities.net.
I am a seminarian.
The Church needs compassionate and well-trained priests to help guide each of us through life.
What inspires me, what draws me always to the priesthood is continue to see priests be a beacon of hope for other people.
You can play a part in the education of these young men as they prepare for a life of service to others.
I want to be that beacon of hope too, and it sets my heart on fire.
To support our seminarians, make your gift at archchicago.org/seminarian fund or call 312-534-7959.
The cemetery ministry is a core ministry of our Catholic faith tied to the corporal works of mercy. It's comforting to know that our Catholic cemeteries are caring for the remains of our loved ones awaiting the resurrection. There are 44 Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic cemeteries willing to help you in your time of loss. Call 708-449-6100 or visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org. Catholic Cemeteries, serving the Catholic community since 1837.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
We're back, WNDZ, 7:50 a.m., Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408. You go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We're with Father Dennis O'Neill from the Shrine of All Saints. And Father Greg, you have a question.
Dennis, you're just like a walking encyclopedia and just flows off your lips in such a beautiful way. But here's a question for you. And Mark is holding up the brochure, the Shrine of All Saints. Dennis, you've been collecting relics since you were a boy, and you are a retired priest in your 70s. All these years, all these relics, how has it touched your faith life?
I just experienced myself as a channel. Like when people ask me why you became a priest, I don't know how to answer that question because that was always a given in my life. Nobody ever told me I ought to do that. But I've always experienced myself as a kind of bridge between this world and the other world. So building sacred space is what I do. And so being able to find a church where I can actually bring these relics together, it just feels like that the saints want this to happen, because it's amazing to me that so many relics have become here so quickly. Mm-hmm. All I have to do is just get out of the way and keep an eye out every day about what may be available and see if I can acquire it. And what we're talking about is my retirement. We're not talking about church funds. And so it's just, I feel part of a bigger process that, I initiate all this stuff and I make the contacts and everything, but I feel like I'm just kind of being shown where to go next and what's coming up next. And then I just do it. So as long as I stay out of the way, I just am in awe of the way the Lord is operating with this whole thing. I don't know how to answer it otherwise.
Yeah.
I think I would know this answer from hearing that from you. But Cardinal Cupich named the shrine officially a shrine in 2015. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
So what does that mean in terms of and I don't know how to say it other than your legacy. Who will tend to this when you're gone?
Well, right now I continue to train the docents, excuse me. Then I hope to go back and resume being rector of the shrine or director or whatever, to build up a team of people that can promote the shrine, to not so much to continue to collect relics. They can do that if they want. I can certainly help them with that, but to promote it, to let the world know what's here. Every time people come to visit, they always want to come back because they just go, it's overwhelming. There's too much. I have to come back. Well, okay. And then they also tell other people, and then those people come and they tell other people. So we have people coming from all over the world. My job will be to just find some priest or some person who can pick up where I leave off, just coordinating all of this, because the shrine is in existence. It's a diocesan shrine. That's a given. And the relics, it's in my will that when I die, the relics go to the shrine. So someone else is just going to have to pick that up, and whoever emerges is fine with me.
No, Dennis, along those lines, is those that are watching live stream, it's amazing how big that space is to contain 3,000 relics. It's huge, and the thought of one day having to move that entire collection to another location would be like overwhelming. I mean, when we priests move from rectory to rectory, that's bad enough. But the thought of, I never realized it was that large, and it's growing. It's just phenomenal, the size. And so now here's, then part two. I was kind of statement, now question. With all the visitors who come through, are many of them older, or are there many younger people who come to the shrine?
Both. I have a lot of confirmation classes that come because the kids pick saint names. And so there are increasing numbers as the word gets out. Parishes will call and make appointments and bring their confirmation kids over. Then I give them the overview of what relics are, why we collect them, the history of who's here. And then I just answer questions about the saints. They want to know who's patron of this, that, or the other thing. I can tell them. I was just told that I most recently did one of these sessions with the kids at St. Martha, St. Isaac Joe, and 4 of them changed their saint name after the tour. I didn't tell them to do that, but at least they're paying attention to what I'm saying.
Interesting.
So the kids are learning, and they're fascinated, whether they are kids who normally behave or not. Kids are all fascinated by body parts, and they sit dead silent, and they're interested in the history because it's all Indiana Jones stuff, and they love that.
Yeah. Now, give us before I forget, give us a website and a phone number for people to learn more about the shrine or to be able to make an appointment and call. So, do you have a web and a phone number, Dennis?
Well, the website would be the parish website. You have it on Mark's brochure, and the phone number is the St. Martha phone number, 847-965-0262.
That number once again.
847-965-0262.
And the website would be?
Well, I'll give you my own website because it'll travel with me. It's Dennis B. O'Neill, DENNIS, B as in boy, ONEILL at live.com.
Excellent.
Maybe
Beautiful.
one more time. Could you give that one more time?
Give the website one more time.
Oh, Dennis B. O'Neill at live.com.
At least you have an easy name for that website.
I had a question. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it seems like there'd be a marriage here. When I was at Mundelein Seminary, one of the things we found were like 317 letters from saints. And Father Mike, I can't remember Mike's last name, his sabbatical was taking care of these letters and digitizing that. I mean, the whole shot. They found one, St. Teresa of Avila, which the Carmelites didn't even know existed. But I'm wondering, have you ever thought of maybe a combined display where you see some of the saints' letters and also their relics?
I would be willing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was up at Monoline for 7 years, and I knew what was there.
You knew it.
Nobody ever sees it.
Yeah.
They do not. I was brought into the safe. So, someone suggested all this should be up at Monoline. No, because then nobody will see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
And
and Father Mike is
if we
now
do it together, maybe.
right, and Father Mike, I can't remember his last name, but he's with the Bishops' Conference now. But he'd be the kind of guy that had a tremendous. I mean, for him to come and say, "Mark, I want to do my sabbatical, and I want to preserve." We bought you have to refrigerate the stuff. I mean, and we also displayed some of those letters too. So it might be the right time to look at that, because then it would be fascinating.
I'll be glad to talk
Now,
to you.
Dennis, when you were at Mundelein Seminary, you were there before me.
Yeah.
I don't think until it was my third year theologate that I even knew this stuff existed in the main.
It's all locked up.
It's all locked up. The thing they put on display once my third year, and I was fascinated by it. Is how did you find out about it in your time at Mundelein? Because I never knew it
Someone who
existed.
worked in the library told me, and brought me with the librarian just to see it because they knew I was interested in history.
That is
I wouldn't
amazing.
have known otherwise.
Now, in
I
your
remember seeing a complete collection of Robert Bellarmine's letters, correspondence.
wow,
Someone could do research on that. I have documents at the shrine people could do research on.
now what
because-
documents do you have? Do
Yeah.
you have any letters of saints from saints?
Yeah. Yes, I have a letter that Mother Cabrini wrote the day after Columbus Hospital opened.
Wow.
And it's hanging right in the hall. She's writing to the head of the national the Bar Association. He gave a talk the day before, and she said in the letter, "I heard about what you said, and I'm holding you to it." That's absolute Mother Cabrini.
Oh,
Badger them into whatever you want.
That's
And here's
vintage.
one of her letters. Perfect, beautiful handwriting. So we have other letters. We have a sample of St. Colette's handwriting. She was a contemporary of Joan of Arc.
It just seems
We
like
have a lot of letters from Poor Clare nuns during the French Revolution. We have relics of St. Colette. 3 nuns hid her bones when they were thrown out of their convent in the French Revolution. And I have the letters signed by the curé of the town and the 3 nuns wrapped around relics when they were put back in the shrine after the revolution.
Unbelievable.
So we've got great stuff. But the thing is, at the shrine, you can walk right up to it and almost touch it. It's a tangible experience of the presence of the saints. So the idea is not that it become a museum, but that people have a hands-on experience of the saints.
Exactly.
So if we, and thank God, nothing's been stolen.
Yeah.
All we have there is cameras. So everybody is photographed, but that doesn't mean that they might not be tempted.
Right.
And
Take us
there
to
is
break,
a,
Mark.
we're going to take a little break. There is a reverence. I remember with the St. Teresa of Avila letter, we brought it down for some kind of a convention. It was guarded, but we thought people would just walk up to it. We had to put a kneeler there because people reverenced it. It was beautiful. It was just beautiful. So we'll be back. Maybe I'll help. Maybe I'll help with that. That would be
Like you don't have
a fun
enough to do.
I know. WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago. 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We'll be back at the Shrine of All Saints at All Saints Parish in Morton Grove. Father Dennis O'Neill will be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Did you know that Catholic Charities accepts car donations? If you're ready to free up space in your garage and put a stop to all those expenses that go along with owning a car, we will gratefully accept your donation, whether the car is running or not. You choose a pickup time that is convenient for you, and we will make the donation as easy as possible, free of charge. You'll receive a charitable donation receipt as well. We accept all types of vehicles nationwide, and you will know that your donation is made to Catholic Charities, an agency you can trust. To learn more about donating your car, call 877-786-4483. That's 877-786-4483. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Es fabuloso verlos.
Dobrze jest znowu być razem.
It's good to be together again.
After so many months apart, pandemic capacity limits have been lifted, and we want to welcome everyone back to church. We can all pray together again. And listen as our choirs lift their voices in song.
We've been together in spirit.
And now, when you are ready, our doors are open wide.
Nuestras puertas están abiertas de par en par.
Nasze drzwi są otwarte.
And we're here to welcome you back to Catholic Mass.
We're back. WNDZ, 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408. You can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. And in the brochure, The Shrine of All Saints, I want to give you another contact. You can go to shrineofallsaints.org. You can go to shrineofallsaints.org, or you can email Father Dennis O'Neill, Dennis B. O'Neill, O'Neill, @live.com. So once again, shrineofallsaints.org or Dennis B. O'Neill @live.com.
You know, I was thinking, Mark, during the break was that you become a saint and they want to lock your hair.
Oh.
Take a pass.
That means I'll never be a saint. They can't find it. They can't find it.
The miracle would be finding some hair.
You know, one of the things in the brochure, which I found fascinating, was, Father Dennis, you wrote copy for books on Celtic art. Could you explain a little bit of that and where people might get those books?
Actually, it was texts accompanying the art of Courtney Davis.
Mm-hmm.
He is a Celtic artist. And so people are buying the books for Courtney Davis's art.
Mm-hmm.
Courtney, I met him years ago when I was trying to obtain, I think it was a painting of St. Columba that he did. We became great friends. And then he asked me if I could write texts for some of his books. So I did about 3 or 4 of them. So actually, you can look on Amazon either under my name or more specifically, Courtney Davis, CourtneyDavis, and my name, and then you'll be able to find the books.
Now, Dennis, another question that it would be is, are there any other relics in the making that you're trying to get your hands on by having written places all over the world, or that website you had talked about? So what's in the process of relics maybe adding to the room in the next weeks or months or years?
We just recently obtained a relic of Blessed Carlo Acutis, which you can only get from the Archbishop of Assisi. So I wrote to him in the fall. It came about 2 weeks ago. And then a woman in Milwaukee obtained a relic of him. So actually we have 2, some of his hair and a bit of his flesh. I'm looking for St. Gianna Beretta Mola. I don't have any, well, she's blessed, but I don't have any relics of her yet. So I'll keep an eye out. What we have coming after we introduce St. Mark's arm in the shrine, there's a large reliquary also from Cardinal Che's collection. And it contains the bones of 7 church fathers. These are large bones. We're talking about John Chrysostom, Basil the Great, Gregory Nazianzus, Gregory the Great, John of Damascus, Augustine of Hippo, Maximus the Confessor, and they're all in one large reliquary. So that's
on its way? That is amazing. Now, do you have anything
Yeah.
from Saint Pope John Paul II?
Yes. We have some of the cassock that he wore the day he was shot, so his blood is on it.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Now,
In fact, you showed a picture of it when you showed the bust of John Paul in this show. There was a reliquary right next to it, and that's the part. That's it. The reliquary, the big sunburst, is part of the cassock he wore.
With a blood stain on it.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Now, as you look, there's a book called Strength to Strength. It's about pre-retirement, and now, Father, you said you're retired. What are your What are your dreams in retirement? Things that maybe you couldn't do because you were so busy being a parish priest. Any bold plans?
I just continue doing what I'm doing. Keep an eye out for body parts. See if we can bring them. Troll the internet. Keep contacts with these entrepreneurs, and then write the stories, publish them in the bulletin, and continue to do tours.
I've never heard that. My goal is to keep looking for body parts.
That's what I do.
I never thought of it that way. That's quite a hobby.
This is all. If you look at the internet, there's thousands of relics available every day.
It's
Not that I
amazing.
want them all, but I have to keep an eye out. And then eventually some relationships are formed with people, and I can tell how honest they are, how generous they are.
Now, do
et cetera.
people contact you because of your reputation and the whole...
Some will.
I mean, and just contact you and say, I have a relic of such and such, and they pursue you.
They pursue me, but they're hoping I'll give them something. And the thing is, I'm not a relic supermarket. I can tell them how they can try to obtain relics themselves, but they're hoping I'll break something off of something. And I'm going, that's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my job is to get them there, not to disperse them.
Oh, so you've had people actually inquire about, quote, purchasing from your whole collection will be leaving the room. And you're saying, no, this is not for leaving. I'll add, but I'm not going to get rid of anything.
If I get doubles or triples of things and happen to have them, and people ask, okay, we don't need lots of relics of certain saints, but some relics are extremely rare, and I know that. So I know why people are looking for them. But if I go to all this trouble to get them for people at the shrine, then I'm sorry, I can't just give it away.
Are there many people who collect relics throughout the country and world?
There are people, yeah. There's a woman in Milwaukee. I didn't know she collects relic, but she does. She's the one that sent us one of the relics of Blessed Carlo, and she said she's going to leave us a number of those relics when she dies.
Wow.
Amazing.
Now, part of my background is fundraising. Do you accept donations? Because it costs money to.
We do.
How do people do that? How do people support your ministry?
Just when they come and we don't charge anything, but if people want to leave any donations, we just tell them leave them on the desk in the gift shop. If they want to purchase anything there, it's an honor system. Leave that money on the desk in the gift shop. And if people want to make donations, we have some foundations that have made donations.
Wow.
And it's just made out to the Shrine of All Saints, and it's put in the Shrine of All Saints account.
Now, Dennis, what do you have? What do you sell in the gift shop?
Holy cards mainly, prayer cards to the saints. There's other things, but mainly that.
It's
some medals.
I mean, this past hour has gone by so fast. It's just unbelievable. And again, I mean, you may have mentioned earlier, but now, out of all the relics, all of them, which one is your favorite?
Right now, my favorite is St. Mark's arm because it's the relic of de jour. So I don't really think that whatever comes in the future, it will be in any way superior to that relic, because it's absolutely clear where it comes from. There's no question that it's St. Mark's arm, and he wrote the first gospel.
Yes.
So I mean, how does it get better than that? If he was right-handed, that's the arm he wrote the gospel with.
Wow.
So that's my favorite one at the moment.
Yeah, that's just these visuals we're seeing thanks to Clint and Brian is phenomenal. Those are watching live stream. Any closing words for our listeners regarding relics, regarding faith, regarding come to the shrine? Any closing thoughts, Dennis?
If I take it for granted because I'm there all the time, but when people visit, a lot of them say the energy in that room is different than the energy outside that room. So I would just say, come and experience it. The motto we have is a total immersion in the mystery. And the mystery is, of course, the mystery of All Saints, which is part of the creed. So you come, you experience it, and once you're there, then, whatever people experience, then they can share it with me. And they're the ones that go out and draw more people in, because they tell others, you need to see this.
So I get
and people are bringing clergy. We have a lot of people that come from Eastern rites. The Melkites love to come, the Chaldeans, the Assyrians. These are people that the relics in their homelands were destroyed. So now they can come and visit their saints here. It's one of the reasons I don't need to go back to Europe that much, because it's all at St. Martha. I don't need to go over there.
Stay at the shrine. We need to bring the program to a close. I want to thank, in a very special way, Father Dennis O'Neill, a tremendous priest, the Archdiocese of Chicago since 1973. Dennis, you look about 60 years old. You look so darn young. So God bless you. And he's at the shrine.
Secret.
What's that?
That makes the wrinkles go away.
The Shrine of All Saints at All Saints Parish in Morton Grove. So Dennis, I want to thank you very much for being a guest this last hour.
Thank you.
Phenomenal. Special thanks to co-host Mark Teresi, to our producers, engineers, Clinton Cottrell, Brian Hockey Hitman Brock, to all of you, thank you. May God bless everyone. Have a blessed week and blessed Holy Week starting this coming weekend.
Every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.